The Amazing Race, a game show where 11 teams of 2 literally race around the world for $1 million, is one of the best reality shows on television. If you're familiar with other CBS reality shows like Big Brother and the monotonous slow gameplay of that bores you, or maybe you watch Survivor and you're just like, why won't they leave Fiji, and that bores you, then watch The Amazing Race, because they travel around the world and see a ton of unique places. This video will tell you 5 seasons to watch if you are just curious about the show and you want to get into it, but you don't want to be spoiled on anything. Thank you all for watching what I make and ultimately supporting what I do here with liking, commenting, and sharing. It means a lot and makes me financially able to make more and more great in-depth content for you all. If you want to help make this channel grow and continue making in-depth analysis videos, then consider joining me on Patreon. For only a few bucks a month, you can pick who I make videos about, watch all of this channel's content early, chat with other fans of the show, and even get exclusive videos every month. Thank you for your support. As I said before, no spoilers. I won't even be showing footage from any episodes outside of the first episode of whatever season I am talking about. So first, let's start from the beginning. What is The Amazing Race? What happens on a typical episode of the show? The very basics of the show is that 11 teams race around the world for $1 million, and on each episode, aka each leg of the race, one team is eliminated. Now, unlike Survivor or Big Brother, there is a lot less drama between teams, and that is mostly because there's still a lot of drama. It just comes from the traveling, having to communicate with people in other countries who don't speak English and don't understand that you're in a race, and the sometimes insane tasks that the teams need to accomplish. That doesn't mean there isn't any drama between teams, because there is, but this show is a lot more lighthearted than Big Brother and Survivor usually are. So what happens in a typical Amazing Race episode? Every team is given a clue at the beginning of a leg, at the beginning of an episode, that tells them where they're going. Now, usually this is to another country, but sometimes it's within the same country they're already in. They are also told how to travel there as well, and if they break that rule, then there's usually a punishment. So they have to travel via a plane, via a taxi, they have to drive themselves, they have to walk, they have to ride a bike, etc., etc. All of these options come with their unique set of pros and cons that you discover while watching the race, and every team is given the exact same locations and tasks to do. Every episode has one detour task and one roadblock. The detour is a choice between 2 tasks, each with their own pros and cons, and don't worry, Phil will tell you every single time what I just said, and he'll say what each detour is. Sometimes teams will just blow through a detour, sometimes it will take them forever, and sometimes they will decide to switch to the other detour task if the first one is too hard. They have an option of either and they can switch at any time. Now, the roadblock, on the other hand, is a task that only one person on each team can perform, but unlike the detour, there is no option. Once someone starts the roadblock, that's it. They have to complete it with no help from their partner. After completing every task and going through wherever their clues tell them to go, they then race to the pit stop, where Phil will inform them what place they ended the leg in. First place always gets a prize, like a trip or cash money, and last place almost always gets eliminated. Typically, there are 3 legs a season where it is a non-elimination leg that the teams nor us know about until it happens. However, they are pre-designated by the show. Now, there are other elements to the show like U-turns, fast forwards, express passes, speed bumps, etc., and these do not happen every leg, and when they do pop up, they will be explained. It's a fairly easy show to follow, actually, and the locations these teams visit are just wonderful to look at. I typically, after a season ends, am like, we need to book a trip. We gotta go somewhere right now because I am all pumped up. So with that out of the way, what seasons are worth starting with to see if the show is for you? I will be listing 5 seasons I personally recommend that do not have any returning racers, but may contain people from another show like Survivor. But I promise not to spoil anything from other shows as well. I won't tell you even how they did on Survivor, so no worries, this video is completely spoiler free. As of the time of this video, there are 32 Amazing Race seasons in total. Now, there are foreign editions like Canada who does their own, and those are worth watching, but we are only talking about the US Amazing Race show. And as you may know, a show with this many seasons undoubtedly has some clunkers, just some average seasons, but every season here will be a satisfying watch for one reason or another. At the end of the video, I will reveal what 5 seasons you all recommended, because I did ask you not too long ago what seasons you recommended, and I tallied every single comment and every single vote. And at the end of the video, I will also tell you every season that has a Survivor team on it, and once again, I will will not spoil how they do on the season, nor will I spoil even how they do on Survivor. With that, number 5, The Amazing Race 25. This is a season I only recently watched and I was blown away it took me this long to watch it. It features a ton of outgoing personalities who make it far, drama between teams, interesting locations that The Amazing Race typically doesn't go to that I had to Google, like Malta. Did you know that's a country? I didn't even know there was a country called Malta, but if you look it up, it's very real and it's very small, but it's beautiful. The Amazing Race loves puns, they love doing some cheesy humor, and there is one team on this season that are dentists, and they have unnaturally white teeth that, don't worry, the show loves to use cheesy special effects on to make you roll your eyes. There is no doubt that there will be teams on this season you will be emotionally invested in, and one girl even had me imitating her mid-season with some of her crazy antics. Every season typically has what I call celeb casting, where a team or two will undoubtedly be someone you know or at least recognize. This doesn't typically happen in earlier seasons, it's more later seasons, but this season has Bethany Hamilton, who lost an arm when surfing from a shark attack and had a movie made about her in 2011. And for those of us who are Survivor fans, Keith and Whitney return from Survivor South Pacific. Apparently, they say they fell in love on the island, but I don't recall a Rob and Amber storyline this season, but then again, it has been a while since I've watched it. Overall, this is a solid season of the show with some interesting twists and great casting that will definitely give you a taste of what this show is all about. Number 4, The Amazing Race 21. I will admit I'm a bit biased on the season due to two teams in particular. Natalie and Nadia, who you may recognize from Survivor, are here and they are loud. This is actually their genesis before they ever even went on Survivor, so it's definitely worth watching if you've already seen them on Survivor or you want to watch them on Survivor. And there's another team here called the Chippendales who I just adore. This is a character-driven season, as not every season has mind-blowing locations, but a great season of the race has the most interesting teams go the furthest, and that is what happens here, complete with an underdog story, a massive strategic move to eliminate a team, and some literal theft. This season has a unique twist that introduces a $2 million prize for the team that finishes first on the first leg, and only if they finish first for the season though. So they have to get first on the first leg and first on the last leg. And the team that does finish first on the first leg has other teams feeling super jealous and gets a massive target on their head. This race is not at all dominated by one or two teams, as this season ties the record for the most number of teams to finish a leg in first place. This is a solid season of the show that doesn't reinvent the wheel, but has a strong cast to make it worth watching for newcomers. Number 3, The Amazing Race 7. If you do not care about whether a season is in high definition, then you are in luck, as one of the best seasons to grace the show is not in HD. Season 7, aka the most watched season of the show, and that is literally proven by numbers, stars an amazing cast of racers and is actually the only season to not circumnavigate the globe. However, it does have some unique twists, like forcing a team who doesn't get eliminated yet finishes last on a leg to forego all of their money and possessions and start the next leg with only the clothes on their back, and yes, it creates just as much drama as you think it would. However, the elephant in the room does need to be addressed. Rob and Amber from Survivor are on the season, and they are massive cutthroat villains that has pretty much every single team hating them the entire time they're on the show and wanting them out. If you love or hate them, you will actually love this season because every single highlight and flaw of them is showcased here. Nothing is hidden. What is great though is how they are contrasted by other teams on the season who are not scared of them, and the race to the finish of the season is insane, like still talked about today, crazy. This season brings with it a lot of crazy strategic moves that were unprecedented at the time and are still impressive today because they don't happen all too often, and it has some satisfying story arcs for teams that do make it far. You don't need to know who Rob and Amber are to enjoy the season, as it is commonly ranked in the top 3 seasons of all time by the general audience of the show, regardless of those two. Number 2, The Amazing Race 29. In all of the other 31 seasons of The Amazing Race, the 11 teams who exist on the show all know each other. They have pre-existing relationships, like being best friends, being married, being siblings, being mother and daughter. You get the idea. However, The Amazing Race 29 mixes this all up. And how do they mix it up? Well, they bring in 22 complete strangers. None of these people know each other, and they have them pick their own 10 teams. It is crazy, as sometimes immediately mesh and become best friends, and you're like, holy crap, these two are gonna be friends for life. While other teams get together and they're the most awkward ducks that ducks could be awkward. It's just so like, I want to like get out of my own skin and like leave. It's that awkward. It makes for incredible television nonetheless, as we get to know these teams as they get to know themselves. Usually we have to catch up as to how teams know each other and what their dynamics are, but here they're developing that as we watch. But that alone doesn't make for a great season, but it does help a lot. The locations this season are wonderful, and the teams you get emotionally invested in make it far, which is what we want in a great season of the show, especially for someone who is just getting into it. The twist of no one knowing each other does make the season what it is, and the only reason this doesn't make number one on the list is that it is just a one-time twist and not something that happens normally, so I don't want you to set your expectations in a place that they're not going to be met anywhere else. This might actually be the perfect second season for you to watch after any other season on this list. I highly recommend it. It's a great time through and through, but it's not the number one season. So it is the number one season? Number 1, The Amazing Race 5. It isn't in HD and it isn't even a newer season, but it is consistently rated the number one season for everyone for a reason. Everything here clicks. The cast is iconic and the order they are eliminated helps so much. There are at least 3 teams here that steal every single scene they are in. The places they go are great, and this season features a lot of records, not just for the US show, but for all versions of the show. For one thing, it visits every single inhabitable continent, which is 6 in total. I don't think they can actually go to Antarctica. I'm guessing that's the 7th one, but it does visit everywhere else, which is just crazy. This never happens in any other season. It has the longest traveling route at 72,000 miles, and it introduces a twist that is still used all the way up until the most recent season of the show. That's how game-changing it is. And it has teams doing something that actually had The Amazing Race make a rule change the next season, but what they're doing isn't bad, it's just smart. Iconic lines are spewed this season, and the character arcs are fantastic. 2 of the iconic teams on this season do return on 2 separate later seasons that you will feel compelled to watch immediately after watching this one to see how they progress as people, but also how they do on their next season of the race. It's just that good. This show was on the brink of cancellation after season 4, and that's not hyperbole. You can look it up. But this season literally saves it. It is that good. I don't want to overhype it though, which I probably am already doing. It doesn't cure cancer, it doesn't solve world hunger, but it is amazing, pun intended. And if you can ignore it not being in high definition, you will witness one of the best seasons ever. Okay, so it is time to reveal what 5 seasons you all recommended. I tallied up every comment and vote, and here we go. Yes, some of these are tied, so it's technically more than 5, but I want it to be fair. The number 5 season you all recommended was The Amazing Race 20. Number 4 is actually a 5-way tie. You have The Amazing Race 14, 17, 25, 29, and 31, all tied with each other. Number 3, you guys voted for The Amazing Race 3, 12, and 21. That's right, 3 seasons tied for the 3rd spot. Number 2 is The Amazing Race 5. My number 1 is your guys' number 2. And number 1 for you all was The Amazing Race 7. I feel like there's a little bias here though, because this is a Survivor channel, but I totally understand. And finally, without spoiling any results, here are the seasons that have Survivor teams on them. Some were already mentioned here, but for thoroughness, I will repeat those 2. And these are all chronological. Every season here, except for 4, is all newbies and is safe to watch as nothing will be ruined. And don't worry, I'm gonna clarify which seasons are the returnee seasons. Season 7 has Rob and Amber. Season 11 has Rob and Amber again, but it is an all-star season and will spoil some past seasons, namely Season 7, which you should definitely watch first. Season 14 has Mike White, as you may remember him from Survivor David vs. Goliath. Season 18 has Mike White again, but in this one is a returnee season and will spoil a bunch of seasons that I do actually recommend watching that took place before this one. Honestly, watch seasons 14 through 17 before watching 18. That's what I recommend doing. Season 19 has Ethan Zahn and Jenna Maraska. Season 21 has Natalie and Nadia. Season 24 has Natalie and Nadia, and once again, this is a returnee season. Season 25 has Keith and Whitney, and season 31 has 3 Survivor teams actually. Rupert and Laura, Corinne and Eliza, and Brett and Chris. It also features 3 teams of past Big Brother players if that's your speed, but it does feature 5 returning teams from past Amazing Race seasons that will spoil seasons, including one on this list, so with this season, proceed with caution. So what seasons do you recommend for a newbie? Comment below here and I promise to read them all like I normally do. Thanks for watching, and if you like the content you see here, then please support me and this channel on Patreon. Your financial support makes all this possible, so thank you, and thank you for watching.